Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto neglected by fanfiction Whitebeard. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by BijuBoss and link in description and support rider. Let's start the video. Small waves gently crashed against a busy wharf where the docked ships ranged from fishing ships, marine battleships, traveling merchant ships or even simple traveling ships. In fact, if one were to look hard enough, one would be able to find the odd pirate ship floating about. There had been a steady increase in the amount of pirate crews recently. This had all been due to stories of a certain pirate captain who went by the name Gold Roger, or Gold Roger, as the world media had named him, but he was quickly gaining a reputation for sailing the Grand Line at a very impressive pace. He was also a gifted fighter apparently, said to be a devastating force in battle. The coincidental thing though, is that he was born on the very same island that the busy wharfs are located, the Polestar Islands. The island name itself isn't very well known, however the name of the town located on the island was Lobetown. At the end of one of these wharfs, there sat a small boy who looked to be about 5 years old. A rather skinny boy who wore simple tattered and torn pants with an equally tattered and torn shirt to match and old worn-out sandals on his feet. He could be recognized by his ocean blue eyes and the 3 strange whisker marks that adorned each cheek. He also had a head of messy and somewhat dirty, spiky golden blonde hair that came down to his shoulders at the back and had 2 long bangs that came down to his chin and framed his face. This young boy's name was Naruto. A boy who never knew his mother and whose father died not too long ago, leaving him an orphan. He couldn't remember his last name, hell, he wasn't even sure he ever had a last name, but just Naruto was good enough for him. Young Naruto had been sitting at those docks for a good 2 hours with his trusty fishing stick in hand, but he had yet to catch his dinner. The blonde youth let out a small sigh. Well, looks like I won't be getting anything today, he thought. He stood up, discarded his fishing stick and decided to head home. Naruto decided that he would borrow some food from one of the many vendors that did business in Lobetown's large markets. Naruto made his way back home through Lobetown's busy markets. Markets that sold fresh fruits and vegetables, meats, fish, chicken and just about any other food you could think of that Naruto couldn't obtain due to a lack of money. Naruto had picked up a few thievery tricks in order to keep from starvation and chose to employ them on a small bag of apples. He easily weaved in and out of the huge crowds and lifted the bag without so much as slowing down or pausing. There had more than a few times when he'd been caught, but luckily this wasn't one of those times. He came to an alleyway that he could go down to get home in half the time and paused. Normally he didn't go down this alleyway because a bunch of annoying wanted pirates usually hung around there. Naruto wasn't at all scared to fight them, but they were just a meaningless hassle. Today, however, Naruto decided that he was going to confront them and started down the alleyway, but not before spying a long metal pipe, about as tall as he was, and picking it up with the intention of using it as a weapon. The gang was currently hanging out in their favorite spot when they heard small footsteps coming their way. One of the gang members looked to see a small kid walking towards them casually with metal pole in one hand and holding a bag full of something in the other. "Oh, what's this?" He grinned, turning to the others. "Boy, look, this kid's here for an ass kicking," he said, causing the others to take notice. Is this he stupid or something? I wonder what he's got in that bag." The biggest of them walked over to Naruto. He was obviously the leader of the group. He looked down, smirking at the small blonde. "Listen kid, I don't know what possessed you to come down this alleyway, but I'm willing to forget it if you hand over the bag and get the hell out of here quick," he offered with a false sense of smugness. Naruto looked up at the much larger man. "By going through this alleyway I can get home much faster, now please let me pass or I'll be forced to report you to the Marines." Naruto decided to try and take the civilized route, knowing that it wouldn't work. The gang leader frowned, he didn't like the way this kid spoke to him. "The Marines are too busy with pirate crews, they don't care about us," he started as he raised his fist in preparation to smash the kid's face in. "Now give us the bag or I'll kill." He was violently cut off by a metal pole being smashed into his stomach before the other end of it was brought around and slammed into the side of his head, rendering him unconscious. The gang watched in surprise as a kid took out their boss but rushed him when they regained their senses. The first one attacked with a sword, but Naruto was able to avoid it and take down the thug with his metal staff. He jumped and kicked the second one in the face before flinging his staff at the third, but froze when he heard the sound of a gun click. Naruto looked at the last gang member calmly as he grinned sadistically. He was about to pull the trigger when a surprise chop to the back of the neck knocked him out cold. He fell unceremoniously to reveal his attacker to Naruto. It was a boy no older than Naruto, wearing simple black sandals, shorts and a white t-shirt, all tattered like the blondes in front of him. He had a stern face for a 5-year-old, onyx eyes and black hair. He gave Naruto a light glare. "What the hell are you doing, you idiot?" Hey Sasuke, thanks for the save, I thought he was going to get me, Naruto said nonchalantly. Sasuke's frown deepened, do you want to die, dope? Huh, what was that team? Naruto fired back, now annoyed as he and his best only friend made their way back home. Because if you keep picking fights with people stronger than you, then one day I won't be around to save you. These guys weren't stronger than me, besides I didn't even come down here with the intention of fighting. Oh, by the way, look way I got. Naruto smiled as he showed his friend the apples he stole. Sasuke actually smiled at the thought of eating when he saw the fruits, but frowned again when he realized something. Naruto, where did you get the money for those? I didn't have any money, I had to make like a fox and steal the things, Naruto explained. Foxes don't steal anything, Sasuke deadpanned as they reached their home. Sure they do, besides we need these apples to live, are you really going to make me return them? Naruto asked. Sasuke relented, but he wasn't happy about it as he hated when anyone broke the law. Naruto and Sasuke entered their home, which could only been described as 4 walls and a roof. A shack that was hardly big enough for the both of them, with 2 sleeping mats, a table, bathroom and small kitchen area. After eating the first meal they'd had in at least a day, they sat at their table thinking when Naruto broke the silence. Sasuke, we need to get out of here. Yeah. This can't be all there is for us. Do you ever think about going out to sea? Sometimes. Alright then, it's settled, Naruto exclaimed, standing up, you and I will form our own pirate crew. And did you just say pirate crew? Sasuke snapped, causing Naruto to look at him in surprise. I would never become a pirate. Sasuke looked up at Naruto with such malice and hatred that it was scary. Naruto could tell that it wasn't just distant, Sasuke genuinely hated pirates with a passion. If I ever leave this place, it'll be to join the Marines. Now it was Naruto's turn. Look at Sasuke with a similar look of hate. What, the world government is the worst thing ever, how could you stomach being one of their dogs, he yelled. Naruto and Sasuke glared at each other dangerously, but before it could go any further, they were interrupted by a man barging into their home in a panic. Oi, you two have got to hide me please, he's coming. This man, obviously a pirate by his attire, was utterly terrified. He was shaking, sweating and crying in fear. Hey, what's wrong, who is after you? Naruto started. There's no time to explain, please hide me, the pirate cried. Alright, just come this way. Naruto began to lead the man to the back door when Sasuke spoke up. Wait Naruto, I won't let you help him. I'm going to hand this scum over to the Marines and let them deal with him. Sasuke, they'll probably execute him, Naruto argued. Sasuke met Naruto's eyes with the same hatred he showed earlier, all the better, he said darkly. Naruto was shocked, beyond shocked, he thought he knew Sasuke. For a time he saw Sasuke as his brother in all but blood, but not anymore. Naruto wanted to become a pirate and he knew how his friend viewed them. The pirate started panicking again as he ran for the front door. It's too late, he's already here. Just as he ran outside, a huge fist of molten hot magma came crashing through the wall and passed between Naruto and Sasuke, separating them by a wall of fire as their wooden home burst into flames from the intense heat. The fire spread quickly and before long Naruto and Sasuke were struggling to breathe through the smoke as they went for the back and front door respectively. They both stopped and turned to look at each other through the flames. As their eyes met, they each knew that their friendship was destroyed. The roof suddenly gave way and collapsed, forcing the two boys to dive outside their own end of the shack. Naruto quickly took off through the back alleyways of Logtown as Sasuke got up and staggered for a bit before he came across the pirate that was just in his house, cowering before a very tall man wearing a red outfit and a white coat with a hood that covered most of his stern face. His right arm and hand was dripping with magma as he looked at the sniveling pirate without compassion, pity or remorse. "Boy, are you a Marine?" Sasuke called but demanded. The man pulled his hood down to look at the kid. Strange, this kid reminded him of himself very much, but right now he had a job to do. "Go home kid," he said in a gruff voice as he turned his attention back to the pirate. "You just destroyed my home," Sasuke yelled. The Marine ignored him and Sasuke felt another pulse of rage. He looked around and saw a cutlass that must have belonged to the pirate lying on the ground. He walked up to it and picked it up before moving behind the pirate and thrusting it into his back without mercy or hesitation, running him straight though. The Marine watched as the pirate's face went from surprised to scared to lifeless and watched as he slumped over dead with the sword still sticking out of him. He once again turned his attention to the kid in front of him. "I want to join the Marines," Sasuke said confidently. The tall Marine's arm returned to its normal state as he turned on his heel and began to walk away, leaving Sasuke to watch him go. "Until are you coming or not?" he said, not turning back as he continued to walk. Sasuke waited for a second before smirking and following his new mentor. Naruto ran from the burning building through back streets and alleyways. He didn't know what he was running from, only that he didn't want to stop. Was he just running from the fire, or was he running from his street urchin life and a former friend that now hated him because of what he wanted to become? He kept running, not really pay attention to where he was going until he ran into someone, and as fate would have it, it was the leader of the same gang he had just fought earlier that day. He turned and grinned evilly when he saw what hit him. Well, look who it is. I was hoping I'd run into you again. Kitty drew his rusted sword, now I can pay you back for the humiliation. Before he could do anything though, Naruto stamped on his foot before punching him in his gut, knocking the wind out of him, causing the guy, 3 times his size, to take a knee to try and regain his breath. "Get out of my way, you idiots," Naruto yelled as he struck the side of his opponent's oversized head with his foot hard enough to once again knock out the leader. "Damn it, you're gonna pay for that," one of the thugs threatened. "Bet him." There were 4 more, and Naruto wasn't going to lose no matter what. The first one brought his foot down on Naruto, who in turn jumped out of the way, only to be met with a punch to the face by the second one, and then to be picked up and slammed into ground by the third one. Naruto ignored the pain and forced himself up before charging at the fourth one, who attempted to stab Naruto. Naruto in response, skillfully weaved past the knife in the man's defense. He then gathered as much strength as he could and buried his fist into the fourth one's stomach, then drove an uppercut to his chin, leaving him dazed. It was then Naruto noticed the second and third ones running up to him from behind. Thinking quickly, Naruto grabbed the fourth's arm and threw him and the incoming 2. This was followed up by him running and jumping off the fourth's back and delivering the strongest kick he could muster across both faces of the second and third, rendering them unconscious too. By this point Naruto was panting and exhausted. He hadn't eaten much today, or yesterday for that matter, not to mention also that he'd inhaled a good amount of smoke from his burning home. His legs didn't have the strength to hold him up anymore, so he was forced to take a knee. "Shit, this isn't good, I'm at my limit." Naruto tried desperately to get up, but his legs weren't responding. The fourth thug had recovered by now and was moving towards him knife in hand. "Haha, looks like you're out of steam, brat." He picked Naruto up by his shirt and held the knife to his neck. As he felt the cold steel touch his exposed neck, Naruto began to accept what he thought was his fate. It wasn't like there was a family waiting for his return. "I think I'm gonna enjoy killing." Before he could finish his sentence, he had gained a lifeless look in his eyes. Naruto felt the grip around his shirt fade as the thug fell to the ground, dead to the world. Naruto was at a loss for words. He didn't know what had happened. One second he's about to get his throat cut, the next he feels a weird wave of power wash over him as he watches his enemy collapse. Naruto however was completely fine, as if the strange force wasn't meant for him. Naruto stood up and looked around in utter confusion and bewilderment. Hello, is anyone there?" Naruto got no response to his question, causing him to get frustrated. "Look, I know someone's there, now come out before I kick your ass." It was then that Naruto heard massive footsteps slowly coming towards him. The young boy was frozen in place. He felt it was becoming harder to breathe with every footstep that came towards him. As the loud footsteps stopped, Naruto knew that the person he had threatened was right behind him. He turned around slowly to see the largest man he had ever seen in his short life. The young boy could only look up in awe at this man, who was at least 3 times the size of any normal grown-up. The huge hulking figure wore light loose-fitting pants, tucked into large black boots at the bottom, and a dark-colored sash around his waist. He wore no shirt, showing off his enormous muscular chest and stomach, but he did wear a huge pirate captain's cloak resting on his shoulders. On his head he wore a light blue and yellow pirate hat on top of a red and black bandana, both of which rested on top of a head of flowing, long blonde hair that was fairer than Naruto's own. The giant's face showed years of experience and wisdom, but by far the most noticeable thing about the man was the large white crescent-shaped mustache. It was because of this mustache that even a 5-year-old would be able to realize exactly who this man was. A man who was already a living legend. The great pirate lord, Edward Newgate. Better known to the world as Whitebeard. Whitebeard looked down at the small boy in front of him with a grin on his face that made Naruto feel a little uneasy and spoke in a deep booming voice befitting of his size. "Rara, who asked, did you say you were going to kick, little brat?" You've got some nerve, starting fights with random people and threatening strangers, little brat." Despite being a little brat, Naruto hated to be called one, which is why he started to get angry. "I didn't start this fight, they did, and my name is not Brat, old man." "Oh, and why should I call you anything else?" "Because my name is Naruto, not little brat." "I think little brat suits you better." Before he could calm himself, Naruto jumped up to try and hit the huge man, but he wasn't prepared for Whitebeard to simply extend his arm and flick the small boy in the forehead. Naruto certainly wasn't expecting the flick to send him crashing to ground and hurt so much. Naruto sat up holding his forehead. It hurts, what the hell did you do?" Whitebeard's grin never left his face. He could tell the kid didn't have parents, and from the fight he had been watching he could see the kid had an enormous amount of potential. It would be a shame to waste it. "Rara, you're a funny kid, but you're wasting your life here." If you want a life of adventure and a chance to become a powerful pirate, then come with me and accept my mark on your back." Naruto looked from his seated position shocked as Whitebeard bent down on his knee and offered a huge hand to him. "Become my son." Eh? Previously. Whitebeard's grin never left his face. He could tell the kid didn't have parents, and from the fight he had been watching he could see the kid had an enormous amount of potential. It would be a shame to waste it. "Urarara, you're a funny kid, but you're wasting your life here. If you want a life of adventure and a chance to become a powerful pirate, then come with me and accept my mark on your back." Naruto looked from his seated position shocked as Whitebeard bent down on his knee and offered a huge hand to him. "Become my son." Eh? Naruto stared up at the huge pirate ship in front of him. A ship that from this moment on would serve as his home. Naruto knew that the second he was to set foot on this ship, his life would never be the same. Naruto now stood on the wharf with a new clean look, gone were his old worn clothes and sandals. Naruto was now sporting grey pants with a dark red sash tied around his waist, new black sandals to replace his old ones, and a white jacket over a dark orange shirt. Naruto had also cleaned up after visiting a quality bathhouse and got a haircut. He kept the length the same, but just made it a bit neater. All paid for by the old man. Naruto was also feeling better than he had in a long time, thanks to Whitebeard taking him to a restaurant where Naruto ate more than 2 times his own body weight in food. Naruto had a particular liking for ramen, but he would honestly eat just about anything. As a seaside breeze caught his now clean hair, Naruto couldn't help but remember what had happened yesterday. His last day living in Logtown. Flashback. Whitebeard looked down at the boy, who was clearly in a state of shock. He wondered if the kid was going to say anything at all, until. "You want me to join your crew, to become your son?" Naruto was still trying to wrap his head around it. "That's what I said," Whitebeard replied with the same grin he'd been wearing the whole time. But I can't." "Oh, and why not?" Well, because I'm not strong enough, I only got what I'm wearing, I don't have any money." "I don't care about any of that," said Whitebeard, cutting Naruto off. "If you don't think you're strong enough, then I'll make you strong. If you need new clothes, then I'll get you some, and you should never worry about something as trivial as money or treasure, because I never have." Naruto felt a strange feeling wash over him. He was remembering that this is what it felt like to have someone care about him. The young boy felt tears in his eyes and quickly brought a hand up to wipe them away. "So, what do you say now?" Naruto actually said nothing as he looked up to meet the face of his new father and gave him a small nod. Flashback end. Naruto redirected his attention to the ship in front of him. Calling this ship huge would be an understatement. It was a massive flagship that was obviously built taking Whitebeard's size into account. Naruto could see at least 18 cannons below deck running down each side. The most notable feature about the ship was the large white whale figurehead that made up most of the bow of the ship. This was Whitebeard's ship, the Moby. Naruto took a minute to properly admire the amazing quality of the lumber used and the detail to match. Nothing was even a millimeter out of place. It made Naruto wonder exactly how long it took to make and how much it would have cost. Naruto was so enthralled by the ship's magnificence that he didn't notice that he was on the gangplank until he was halfway up. As Naruto reached the top, he took in a deep breath and stepped off onto the deck of the Moby. Naruto observed dozens of fellow Whitebeard pirates buzz around the deck, getting everything ready to set sail. There were men carrying boxes and crates of food, ranging from beef, pork, chicken, fish and other seafood, dairy products and even fruits and vegetables. There were men rolling barrel after barrel across the deck, filled with what Naruto could only assume was sake, rum and beer. Not only that, but there were also men carrying on boxes of armaments, like cannonballs, rifles, pistols, bullets, swords and knives. With the amount of stuff they had, Naruto thought they must have cleaned out the entire markets. It was then that a new voice snapped him out of his trance-like state. "Hey, so are you our new nakama?" Naruto turned to see a guy a few years older than him walk over. He had a lean frame, an expression that made him look like he had just woken up. He had on a lavender-colored jacket over a light blue t-shirt and wore dark green knee-high pants and sandals, like Naruto's. Also like Naruto, he had spiky blonde hair, but unlike Naruto's, his was short. Yeah, my name's Naruto," answered Naruto. "I'm Marco, I've been on this crew for a few months now." "Really, so you're Whitebeard's son too?" Marco smiled at the new guy's naivety. He put an arm around his shoulder and took him for a stroll around the deck. "Well, first off, to answer your question, yes, I am one of Whitebeard's sons, in fact we all are. Everyone you see on this deck is. Secondly, as his sons we don't really call him Whitebeard, he's our Oyaji, and that's what we call him, Oyaji." "Oyaji?" Naruto repeated with a whisper. The word sounded completely foreign to him, he knew it was going to take some getting used to. Naruto heard familiar heavy footsteps beside him and turned to see the old man looking down at the two blondes. "I see you've met Marco," he said to Naruto, causing him to nod in reply. "Stick with him, he'll teach you a few things." Whitebeard then turned to the blonde in question. "Marco, are we ready to go?" Marco just looked around the deck, taking a brief mental inventory. Yeah, I think everyone and everything is accounted for, we're ready to go when you are, Oyaji." "Yosh," said Whitebeard turning to the rest of the crew. "Men, listen up," he shouted, causing all pirates to give him their immediate undivided attention. Whitebeard then gestured to his newest son. "This is Naruto. He's our new nakama, so make him feel welcome. Now, if everything is in order, let's set sail." The crew erupted in cheers of agreement before once again exploding into activity, only this time they weren't loading supplies, they were raising the anchors, pulling up the aft and forward lines, as well as the gangplank, causing the Moby to become free of its confines in the dock and slowly start to pull away from the wharf. "Unfurl the sails," yelled Whitebeard as his ship became ready to catch the wind. The pirates atop the three masts complied, undoing some ropes and letting the vast sails fall down and open up to the wind. Naruto was unprepared for the huge ship to suddenly jolt forward with the rough winds, so much so that he actually fell to his knees before quickly finding his sea legs. Naruto got up and walked to the starboard railing and looked down to see the ocean water rushing past the hull. "Pretty impressive, huh?" Naruto turned to see Marco beside him. "Yay," Naruto replied, "I didn't think this huge ship could move so fast." "Well, we only go as fast as the wind lets us, but if you want to see something really amazing then follow me," Marco said as he jumped onto the railing and started to climb the rope ladder attached to the main mast. Naruto watched Marco climb for a second before he carefully got on the rail and climbed the rope himself, following Marco who was already in the first crow's nest that was built into the mast. As Naruto reached the crow's nest, he was greeted with an impressive view that was slightly obscured by ropes and sails. "Wow, I can see everything on deck from up here," said Naruto with a smile. "Yeah, it's not bad, but that's nothing." Marco then proceeded to climb the ladder built into the mast that led to the second crow's nest, with Naruto following. When he got to the top, Naruto could see in all directions without anything in the way to spoil his view, and wherever Naruto looked all he could see was a vast blanket of water that stretched out to the horizon in every direction. Every direction except for one. Naruto turned around to look at 6 o'clock and saw that the Polestar Islands and the town resting on it already starting to shrink in the distance. Naruto looked at his former home with an expressionless look on his face. Honestly, Naruto wasn't too sad to be leaving Logtown. "Did you leave any family there?" Marco asked curiously. "No," answered Naruto, not looking away from the disappearing island. "What about friends?" Naruto watched as Logtown vanished over the horizon. "No," he answered finally. Marco could tell that there was more to it than that, but chose not to worry about it. If Naruto wanted to tell him or anyone else about his past, then he would in his own time. "Well, it doesn't matter," said Marco, gaining Naruto's attention. "The Whitebeard pirates are your family now." Naruto smiled after hearing that. It was the first time in a long time that he'd even been so happy. Marco started to climb down the mast. "You can stay up here for as long as you want, but if you see anything interesting just yell down to us." As Marco resumed his climb down, Naruto couldn't help but smile as he looked out over the ocean. He just knew his life was going to become a lot more interesting from now on. 2 months later. Naruto had been traveling with the Whitebeard pirates for a little over 2 months now. During that time, he had learned more on the Moby in 2 months than he had living in Logtown for 5 years. At first it was things that involved living on a ship, such as how to tie various knots, how to properly dock and moor a ship, the names and functions of just about everything on board, and various other things of that nature. After about a month, Naruto began to learn how the world works. Learning about the North, South, East and West Blue Seas, learning about the Grand Line and the unique method of navigation needed to get through it. Naruto also learned about the world government, a political organization made up of the majority of the world itself and the Marines, the military force of the world government. Even though just about everything piqued his interest and the fact that Naruto absorbed information like a sponge, the subject that Naruto became most interested in was Akuma no Mi, devil fruit. The ability to perform superhuman feats, become an animal or even control the elements sounded very appealing to Naruto. Sure, he knew if he ever ate one, then he would never be able to swim, but Naruto never learned to swim in the first place. When Naruto had first seen Marco's devil fruit powers that allowed him to turn into a phoenix at will, Naruto almost passed out at just how awesome it was. He had learned that the old man had a devil fruit power as well, but he had yet to find out what it was. After 2 months and a hell of a lot of food, Naruto had filled out to a healthy weight for his age and size, but was told that he would have to wait a little while before he started to put on a lot of muscle. Naruto also spent the 2 months getting to know the crew members he hadn't met yet, and everyone was very nice to him, but none more so than the pretty nurses that were under Whitebeard's employ. Being the youngest and most innocent of the crew, the nurses found Naruto to be adorable and knew that he was going to be a real ladies' man when he got older. As for Naruto, being a 5-year-old, ladies weren't at the top of his priorities list right now. Naruto found himself standing on dry land for the first time in over 2 months as he and his father were walking to the middle of a large island with a grassland terrain in the middle, surrounded by a beautiful yet hostile forest. He was wondering what they were doing in the first place. We've still got plenty of food and drink left, so I guess we're not here to get more. Besides, I don't think anyone even lives here, Naruto thought. After a little more walking, Naruto decided to make his thoughts known. Oyaji, why are we here on this island? Whitebeard kept walking as he answered, there are a few things I want to tell you about. Naruto and Whitebeard reached a clearing that was basically just a flat grassy field with a few small cliffs around. Whitebeard turned to Naruto, the first reason why we are here is because I want to show you my devil fruit powers now, so you don't freak out when you see it in battle. Naruto had stars in his eyes after hearing this, a devil fruit power, awesome. Yeah, now stand back. Naruto complied and watched as Whitebeard slowly clenched his fist before throwing it forward in the direction of a nearby cliff face. It looked and felt as though the old man had hit an invisible wall. When Naruto saw cracks start to appear in the air at the end of the old man's fist, he thought at first that the devil fruit power allowed the old man to manipulate the air somehow. This was proven dead wrong, however, when Naruto started to felt the ground start to shake under his feet before the cliff that Whitebeard had directed his punch towards was hit by a visible shockwave and utterly obliterated. The island stopped shaking and the dust settled to show the damage. Naruto could only stare as nothing intelligent came to mind. Whitebeard saw his perplexed look on his son's face and decided to explain. I ate the Gurugura no Mi and became a tremor human. Amazing, said Naruto in awe. Whitebeard smiled, that's nothing, I could sink this whole island if I wanted to. Sink the whole island, that's unreal, thought Naruto before remembering something. Wait, Oyaji, what's the other reason we're here? There's something I want you to start learning now, and the earlier we can start the better, because you aren't that good a fighter, so you'll need to know this. What do you mean not that good a fighter? I can hold my own, exclaimed Naruto in mild outrage. Right, against a bunch of know-nothing thugs. Plus, as I recall, that guy was about to kill you before I stopped him. Naruto paused to remember that day. Oh yeah, how did you do that, by the way? That's what I wanted to tell you about. The power to sense and utilize spiritual energy and overpower large amounts of enemies, we call this power, Haki. 6 months later. Naruto stood on the lowered part of the deck on the Moby, with a blindfold tied around his eyes, in a deep state of concentration. As Naruto began to feel the presence of those around him, he took a deep breath to calm himself and remembered what the old man told him. Flashback. Tenbenshoku no Haki, Whitebeard began to explain, is one of the 3 different types of Haki. It allows a person to sense the location of both allies and enemies over a certain distance, even if they are hidden from view. It also allows you to predict incoming hostile attacks and even determine just how strong someone is. Flashback end. Naruto quickly sidestepped an attempted punch to the face before ducking down to avoid a sword slash and jumping back avoiding a kick. Naruto, however, failed to sense a new punch that hit him in the chest. This caused Naruto lose his concentration and was rewarded with a surprise kick to the head, sending him skidding across the deck. Do you think I knocked him out? Said Marco's voice. You didn't all the other times you got him. Said a new voice before Marco's was heard again. Boy Naruto, are you awake? If you are, then let's stop now. Naruto stood up shakily and no, I can keep going. Well, regardless of whether or not you can keep going, it's been over 4 hours and we've had enough for now. Said the other voice. DSK, fine wuss. Replied Naruto, taking off his blindfold to see Marco standing next to owner of the other voice. He was a tall, muscular man with a broad chest and tanned skin. He also had a very distinctive curly black mustache and a trademark dark blue top hat, along with a dark blue open jacket with a matching cape, light blue pants, dark boots and a brown belt that held 2 sabers. This was Kaken no Vista, Flower Blade Vista. Naruto looked over to rest of the crew to see them eating lunch. As he walked over to join them, he took a seat between 2 more of the new crew members that had joined in the last 6 months. The one on his left was a huge, tall, muscular man with dark skin and a constant scowl on his face. He had short black hair and wore a black tank top with a dark red sash around his waist, dark green pants and black shoes. His name was Diamond Jozu. His epithet of diamond came from his devil fruit that allowed him to cover the surface of his body in diamonds. The one on his right was a tall man dressed in a posh white dress coat with matching calf-long pants, a black belt around his waist, a yellow foulard around his neck and brown shoes. His brown hair was done in a pompadour style and he had a black goatee around his chin. He also had a scar next to his left eye. His name was Thatch. Naruto looked over the newer crew members as he ate his lunch consisting of meat, bread and some nice miso ramen. Naruto's eye landed on another new crew member sitting to the side eating a cherry pie. He was a huge man, with more fat than muscle. He had skin that was even darker than Josu's, long thick curly black hair, a crooked nose, and had a few teeth missing. He wore an open white shirt with the sleeves rolled up, dark green pants with a yellow sash around his waist, black shoes and a black bandana on his head. This guy's name was Marshall D. Teach. Naruto briefly watched a big man enjoying his delicious cherry pie. He seemed like a nice enough guy, but something was a little off about him. He wasn't an asshole or anything like that, in fact he was pretty nice, but Naruto felt something weird about him, he couldn't quite put his finger on it. Naruto just decided to go back to his lunch and give Teach the benefit of the doubt. If the old man trusted him, then he would too. Whitebeard's voice then pulled him from his thoughts. It's still too easy for someone to break your concentration, Naruto. Yeah well, if you'd given me more time than 1 month on that island, I could have trained more, Naruto replied. The Whitebeard pirates had only spent 1 month on that island until Naruto had grasped the fundamentals of Kenbun-shoku haki before they set out for the new world. It was very possible for Naruto to hone his skills on board the Moby, but he just had too much to do on a daily basis for constant training. Well, you've come far with your hand-to-hand fighting skills, said Marco. And your swordsmanship skills, added Vista. Over the past 6 months, Naruto had also been training with Marco and Vista to improve his overall fighting abilities. Whitebeard nodded, even so, there are still many powerful pirate crews out there, not to mention those in the Marines like Fleet Admiral Kong, Admiral Sengoku, Garp and those other vice admirals. Naruto smiled, oh, you almost sound scared of them, Oi Aji, he said as he went to go inside. There's some kid in the Navy that is causing a stir as well, Oi Aji, Marco informed the crew, he's only been a Marine for about 2 months, and he's already a petty officer, and he's the same age as Naruto, it's unheard of. Even the Navy gets gifted soldiers from time to time. What's his name? Whitebeard queried. He's known as the prodigy of the Navy petty officer Sasuke. Naruto froze as he got to the door when he heard Sasuke's name, he turned to Marco. Sasuke. Yeah, do you know him? Naruto turned back to the door, his hair shadowing his eyes. No, at least not anymore, he said before going inside, leaving everyone to wonder what he meant. Inside Naruto was deep in thought, so you really did become a Marine, Sasuke. Naruto tightened his fists and smiled, good. A few weeks later. Naruto stood on the port side of the ship along with his nakama, dressed in an open orange shirt, black shorts, his trademark black sandals and a dark blue bandana. He currently had a grin on his face while he gripped the cutlass he had in his hand. He wasn't the only one. All of the crew members were brandishing their own weapons and staring out the port side of the ship. They were staring at the enemy. There were very few pirate captains crazy enough or stupid enough to challenge the Whitebeard pirates, but this particular was the only one that could match the Whitebeard pirates in strength. Naruto and his nakama stared at the ship floating alongside their own less than 20 meters away. It was a vertical stripe design, with large red sails and 2 mermaids as its figurehead, each one alongside a large cannon that stuck out the front of the bow. This ship was called the Oro Jackson, the ship of the Roger pirates. The Roger pirates stood at their starboard side staring back at the Whitebeard pirates, all of them with their own weapons ready as well. Naruto's eyes immediately fixed on the man standing in front of them. He was a tall, strong-looking man, wearing a long dark red captain's coat over a dark blue shirt, white cravat, blue pants and black pirate boots. He wore a fierce grin on his face that was matched by his intense stare. He had spiky black hair under a dark red captain's hat and yellow spotted bandana. He also had a very distinctive black curved black mustache that, like Whitebeard's, was instantly recognizable. This man was the captain of the Roger pirates, Gold D. Roger. I know you're there somewhere, show yourself, Whitebeard. Spoke Roger in a strong demanding voice, his grin never leaving his face. Whitebeard's heavy footsteps were heard behind Naruto until he stood in front of his crew with his own weapon in hand. It was a huge Bisento that was as tall as he was. The pole was black and brown strip that ended with a spherical bit at the bottom and the blade was attached with a golden sleeve. It was the first time Naruto had seen it. Both infamous pirate captains faced each other without a single shred of fear. Whitebeard spoke with a grin to match his rivals. What are you doing out here, Roger? I can do what I want, Whitebeard. Why are you rushing through the Grand Line, do you want to die? Roger stared at Whitebeard for a moment. Heh, I won't die. Your crew on the other hand. Naruto felt a familiar yet unpleasant wave of power wash over him before his world started to go dark. It was just like when he had met the old man, only this time Naruto knew what the wave of power was. Hashoku no Haki, damn it, it's so strong, he thought before passing out. Naruto awoke to the sounds of steel clashing, guns shooting, cannonballs exploding and pirates yelling. Damn that bastard, he knocked me out, he thought angrily as he picked himself up off the deck. Naruto looked around to see pirates on both sides clashing on both ships and looked over to see his father and Gold D. Roger clashing on the whale figurehead of the Moby saber struck Bisento, with each strike creating a small shockwave of power. Boyaji, Naruto said with concern. He was just about to run over to assist when he heard two voices from his left. "Get ready, Whitebeard, I'm coming for you." "Wait, Buggy, Roger Sencho is fighting him." Naruto looked over to see two of Roger's crew. One of them wore a white and red striped short-sleeved shirt with light green pants, pointy shoes, white gloves and a brown cap. He had a big red nose attached to a goofy-looking face. He was holding 3 knives between his fingers in each hand. The other one wore a black shirt with light-colored pants and wore a straw hat with a red sash around it, resting atop a head of straight red hair. He was wielding 2 katanas. Naruto stood in front of the 2 arguing pirates. "I don't care, I'm going to rip that beard right off his face," the now-named Boogie said. "Roger Sencho will be mad if you get in his way," said the other. "Plus I'm not gonna let you get near him," Naruto added. The 2 pirates stopped arguing to look at the young blonde. "Hey, who are you?" asked Buggy. "It doesn't matter who I am, stupid big nose, I told you I wasn't gonna let get near Oyaji," answered Naruto. Buggy smirked. "You're no match for us, kid, and who are you calling stupid big nose? I'll show you." Buggy charged at Naruto with his knives in hand, however Naruto, with more speed and skill than you'd expect from a 5-year-old, blocked the knives with his cutlass and followed up with a quick horizontal slash that cut Buggy in half and cut off his right hand at the same time. That was easy, thought Naruto suspiciously as he watched the body parts fall to the ground. Naruto turned to the other pirate who had a calm look on his face, as if he didn't care at all that his nakama had been killed. "Don't you care that I did that to your nakama?" asked Naruto. "No," he replied simply. A strange vision then told Naruto to jump out of the way. He complied and jumped to his right just as a knife-filled hand whizzed past him. Naruto stared at a floating hand, hovering a few feet away from him, with wide eyes. What the hell, a floating hand, wait, must be. Naruto turned to see the pirate he cut in 2 standing, well at least the bottom half of him was standing, and the top half was floating just above it and Buggy with an angry look on his face. Naruto though Buggy was angry because of what he'd done, but this was proved wrong when the floating hand rushed over to the red-haired pirate and grabbed the front of his shirt roughly. "Shanks," Buggy shrieked, "you flashy bastard, don't you care what he did to me?" "I didn't care because I knew you weren't dead," said an annoyed Shanks. "That's no excuse, aren't I your nakama?" "Yes, but why would I get angry when I knew you were fine?" "Ah, excuse me, but how is your hand floating?" interrupted Naruto. I ate the bara no mi," explained Buggy as his hand reattached to his arm before he turned to Shanks, "and it's all your flashy fault." Turning back to Naruto, Buggy said, "No matter how many times you cut me, I won't die." "Good to know," replied Naruto, before he rushed towards Buggy and nailed him in his big red nose with a right hook, sending him crashing into the railing. Shanks looked from his now downed friend to the kid that knocked him out. He took a deep calm breath as he drew one of his swords. "Well, you're pretty good for a kid, but let's see how good you really are." Shanks charged forward and brought his sword down on Naruto, who in turn caught it with his own. Naruto tried to push him back, but the strength of the older boy was greater than his own, and he managed to shove Naruto back before charging at him again. Naruto jumped back to avoid a cut across the chest and once again locked blades with Shanks. Now Naruto knew he wasn't stronger than Shanks, so he spun on his heel, slipped out of the blade lock and spun around Shanks until he was behind him and stealing his second katana out of its sheath before jumping up and bringing a foot to Shanks' head. Shanks quickly brought up his arm to block the kick without looking. Tenbin-shoku haki, though Naruto with mild surprise. Shanks followed up his block by twisting around and punching Naruto in the face. Naruto fell to the deck holding his face in pain. "Shit, why does it hurt so much, is it Yuzushoku no haki?" Shanks didn't give Naruto time to rest however, as he brought his leg down on Naruto, who had to quickly roll out of the way. Naruto scrambled to his feet just in time to use the 2 swords he had to block powerful sword strike that sent him skidding further back. "Boyaji," Naruto heard Marco yell. Naruto and Shanks looked over to where Whitebeard and Roger were fighting to see Roger with a bit of blood running down the side of his head and the old man clutching a very bloody chest. During their fight, Roger had managed to give Whitebeard a large cut in the middle of his chest. "Boyaji," exclaimed a worried Naruto. Naruto threw Shanks' sword at him to act as a distraction and ran towards the 2 captains. Shanks avoided the incoming sword and attempted to go after the young pirate, however his path was blocked when Thatch stood in front of him and engaged him in a new battle. Whitebeard stood up, still holding his chest as he and Roger stared at each other with matching grins. "You should give up, Whitebeard, you're injured." Do you honestly think this little scratch is enough to beat me? It's going to take a lot more than that, Roger." The old man brought his weapon down on Roger's, which triggered another round. Whitebeard would swing his enormous Bacento, and Roger would either avoid or block it with his cutlass. Naruto stopped running towards the captains as another of the Roger pirates stood in his way. This guy was different to Shanks and Buggy, he was much stronger than them. He was almost as tall as his captain, wearing a long dark blue coat and dark green pants. He had strawberry blonde hair that was slicked back, a black striped beard on his jaw, and had a scar running vertically over his right eye, over which he wore a pair of round glasses. He was the vice captain of the Roger Pirates, Dark King Slivers Rayleigh. He stood in front of Naruto with his sword ready. "I can't let you interfere with the captain's battle," Kitty said with a small smile. Naruto was in no mood for the interruption, so he leapt forward and brought his saber down on the Dark King with all his might, only to be shocked when Rayleigh stopped Naruto's blade with his own, only needing one hand to withstand Naruto's might. Naruto attempted another slash, however Rayleigh simply sidestepped him before ducking under Naruto's attempted decapitation. Naruto was quickly becoming angry. Every sword swing, every punch and kick Naruto produced was avoided by Rayleigh with the utmost ease. Rayleigh delivered a powerful kick to Naruto's chest, sending him crashing into the main mast of the Moby, but before he could recover, Rayleigh was in front of him with his sword pointed at Naruto's forehead. Naruto began to sweat slightly. He knew that Rayleigh could kill him before he could blink. Well then hurry up and do it, Naruto said, sounding a bit less brave than he wanted to. "Do what?" asked Rayleigh, smirking. "You're my enemy, right, aren't you gonna kill me?" "Ahahaha, don't be so grim, kid." Naruto was surprised when Rayleigh sheathed his sword. "We may be on opposing pirate crews, but that is no reason for me to kill a 5-year-old child. I watched your fight with Shanks and will admit you have a lot of potential, but until you reach it, you have to remember that you are in fact a 5-year-old child. You still have a very long way to go before you can challenge my captain." Naruto let Rayleigh's words sink in before realizing that he was right. He still had a very long way to go. "Unfortunately though, I don't think you'll ever get a chance to fight Roger," finished Rayleigh. "Huh, what do you mean?" asked a confused Naruto. Naruto got an answer in the form of a fist that hit him in the face and knocked him out cold. Naruto woke up in a soft bed with a roaring headache. The last thing he remembered was talking to Rayleigh and then. "Oh, that bastard." Naruto stood up groggily and shuffled towards the door. As he opened it, he was greeted by an evening sky and a cool sea breeze. There were no more of the Roger pirates in sight and the Whitebeard pirates were sitting in the lowered part of the deck eating dinner. Naruto walked over to them, gaining Marco's attention. "Oh, look who's up." Yeah, Naruto sighed, "How long was I out?" "A few hours," said Marco, gesturing to the mountain of food before the pirates. "You hungry?" "Not really, I'll only get a little bit," said Naruto, who had already covered 2 plates with piles of chicken, beef, bread, rice and some pies for dessert, causing some of the other pirates to sweat drop and think, "That's only a little bit." It seemed that Naruto, like just about any other pirate in the world, had an enormous appetite. Naruto looked over to Whitebeard, who was sitting in his huge chair with a much larger than average mug of alcohol. Naruto also noticed the large medical patch on the old man's chest where he'd received his cut from Roger. Millimeters Oyaji, how's that cut you got?" asked Naruto with a mouthful of food. Whitebeard raised a perplexed eyebrow. "What are you talking about?" Naruto just pointed at the medical patch on Whitebeard's chest, causing him to look down at it. "Oh, that, it's nothing, barely even a scratch," laughed Whitebeard, causing Naruto to sweat drop. "It'll probably leave a scar and he thinks it's just a scratch." "Okay, then what happened after I was knocked out, who won, Oyaji or Roger?" asked Naruto. "Well, it was kind of a draw, since both of them would refuse to back down or run away," said Marco. "Haha, just as I thought would have happened," smiled Naruto. Whitebeard then finished his drink and slammed his mug down on the armrest of his chair. "Naruto, I saw your fights with that red-haired brat and that funny red nose and even the fight with Rayleigh. I saw them and I've decided that you need more training." "What are you saying, Oyaji?" asked Naruto, having finished his dinner and moved on to his desert. Whitebeard got his mug refilled. "You can pull your weight on the ship when you can pull your weight in battle. From now on you can focus on your training." 6 months later. Much had happened in the past 6 months. One of the most amazing of which was the Roger pirates engaging the pirate fleet of Shiki the Golden Lion in the New World. One ship against an enemy fleet of at least 20. If Naruto had never seen Roger fight with his own 2 eyes, he never would have believed it. This battle became known as the Ed War. It wasn't soon after that the Roger pirates once again achieved the impossible and conquered the entire Grand Line and made it to the final island, Raftel. After this, Roger became known as the Pirate King. It was also after becoming known as Pirate King that the Roger pirates vanished mysteriously. Soon after this, Whitebeard received a summons from Roger. Normally if Whitebeard received something like this, demanding he turn up somewhere like some rookie pirate, he would tear it up. However, Whitebeard decided to go because of the amount of respect he had for Roger. The Moby dropped anchor offshore, allowing Whitebeard to jump off onto the beach. "Do you want us to go with you, Oyaji?" asked Jozu. "No, I'll be fine by myself." After a while, Naruto jumped onto the beach too, gaining everyone's attention. "What are you doing, Naruto?" asked Thatch. The old man said he didn't need anyone to go with him. Naruto replied with a yawn. I'm just gonna look for somewhere to sleep as he headed off into the island. As Naruto walked through the island, he had to admit that Roger had picked a really nice place. There were flowing rivers and huge cherry blossom trees all around, dropping pink petals that covered the ground. During the last 6 months, Naruto had gotten older, taller, faster, stronger and smarter. He still had a very long way to go, but at least he was better with Kenbun-shoku haki and had got the basics of Byuzo-shoku haki down. Naruto found a nice place to sleep atop a large waterfall. What's that, did you say you're dying, Roger? Naruto looked to the bottom of the waterfall to see the old man sitting opposite Roger, both with a large drinking dish full of sake and numerous more bottles around them. He was surprised to hear that the great pirate king was dying. Yeah, I don't have much time left, said Roger, with his ever-present grin. Huh, that's too bad, said Whitebeard before drinking some sake. You almost sound sad, Whitebeard. I still respect you, even though you were my enemy. I feel the same. Do you want me to tell you how to get to Raftel, Whitebeard? You can if you want, but I won't go there. I'm not interested in it. Roger finished his sake. Do you know what the world government is calling me these days? Old Roger answered his own question. Whitebeard looked a bit confused. What, isn't that your name? No, it's not, Roger laughed. My name is Goldie Roger. I've met a few people with that in their names before, even one of my sons has it. Teach. What does it mean anyway? Asked Whitebeard, refilling his dish. You want to know? Smiled Roger. He took Whitebeard's silence as a yes. Okay, I'll tell you. It's a story from long ago. Naruto had become bored with the conversation and decided to go to sleep. He was woken up soon after by his father yelling. Naruto, we're leaving. Naruto got up and sleepily shuffled toward the old man. Boyaji, what did Roger want to talk about? He yawned. Whitebeard just smiled and said, nothing important, before heading towards the ship. Naruto just shrugged and followed after. Logtown, 2 years later. The day was a sunny day in Logtown. Far too cheerful, considering the grim event that was scheduled in the town's plaza today. It was in this town, the very same one he was born in, that the infamous pirate king Goldie Roger was to be executed. It was an execution that demanded the attention of everyone in the world. It was an execution intended to strike fear into the hearts of all pirates and wanted pirates. A message from the world government and the Marines that piracy would not be tolerated under any circumstance. This is what the world government intended the execution represent. The citizens of Logtown made way throughout the streets as the pirate king marched towards the plaza at the center of the town. He marched with his head held high. No regret or fear, as if he was looking forward to it. As Roger walked towards the execution platform, the crowd all started to move into the plaza until it was completely full. All faces with the plaza directed at the pirate king climbing the stairs of the platform. As he got to the top, Roger turned to face the enormous crowd gathered to see his death. He dropped to his knees, his hands were chained to the platform he was kneeling on, and he stared down, just in front of his hands, with his hair overshadowing his eyes. One curious citizen in the crowd turned to his friend beside him. Boy, so are they just gonna kill him without even asking him anything? He whispered. How should I know? Besides, what would they ask him anyway? His friend whispered back. Well, there was one thing he was wondering. Oh, Pirate King, he shouted, making everyone in the plaza to shift their focus from Roger to him. Roger inclined his head a fraction to show that he was listening. What did you do with all of your treasure? He finished. This was a good question, one that everybody else wanted answered now too. Roger's grin once again made its way onto his face. My treasures. His voice was calm, yet was heard by all in the plaza. If you want them, you can have them. His voice and smile grew with every word. Look for them. I left it all at that place. Those were Roger's very last words, as the next second 2 executioners' blades pierced his body, robbing him of his life. Roger, however, could hardly call his life robbed at that point. He was still happy enough to die with a smile on his face. His grin never faltered, not even for a second. The crowd was silent for a moment as they allowed the Pirate King's last words sink in, before erupting into cheers and laughter. The chance for adventure, the chance to conquer the Grand Line, the chance to find the greatest treasure in the world and become the next Pirate King was before them. Less than a week later, the seas were swarmed with hundreds, if not thousands, of new pirate crews. Crews all searching for the now legendary treasure. A few weeks later, Naruto, age 8. Naruto was sitting on the railing of the Moby, reading the newspaper he had subscribed to a little while ago. It wasn't today's paper, no, he had read that earlier in the morning. This paper was from a few weeks ago, from the day of Gold Roger's execution. It was an article telling about Roger's bold claim of leaving an amazing treasure somewhere on the Grand Line and the starting of something the world government had dubbed the Great Age of Pirates. Naruto laughed as he read the article for the 5th time. He just couldn't get over how funny he found the whole situation. The world government hoped to snuff out piracy for good with the death of the Pirate King. Instead, Roger goes ahead and pulls this, starting a new pirate era and causing countless pirate crews to be formed. The exact opposite of what Naruto imagined the world government wanted. It seemed that the Marines would really have their work cut out for them now. Naruto looked at it once more before letting the wind catch the article and take it out to sea. He jumped off the railing and went to join the rest of his nakama, who were doing what they normally did. Eat, drink and do pretty much whatever they wanted. Naruto walked over the old man sitting in his chair, drinking his usual enormous amount of alcohol. "So Oyaji, why are we going to Fishman Island?" he asked. "You mean apart from being the only way for us to get into the new world?" Replied Naruto, having honestly forgotten about that. Whitebeard sighed, "The king, Neptune, is an old friend of mine and I haven't seen him in a while." The old man paused to gulp down the rest of his drink, "Plus, lately I've heard some rumors about the island that are making me feel uneasy." "Oh, like what?" "Apparently with all the new pirate crews trying to enter the new world, they've been causing mayhem in Fishman Island, raiding houses and selling mermaids and fishmen into slavery." "What, that sucks." Whitebeard raised an eyebrow at his son's view on the matter. "Plus I don't like that it happens after Roger died, it almost makes it seem like it's his fault." "And why would you care what anyone would think of Roger?" Whitebeard smiled. Well, I dunno. Even though he was an enemy, he was able to fight on the same level as you and even managed to scar you. He was strong and loyal to his nakama and never backed down from a fight even when the odds were stacked way against him. I respect him almost as much as I do you. Even though he was an enemy, I like that guy." Whitebeard couldn't help but laugh at that and think that, to a point, he felt the same way. 2 days later, Fishman Island. Naruto and the rest of the Whitebeard pirates were feasting in the Ryugu Palace, having their hunger and thirst satisfied by the many servants around the palace, while Whitebeard sat with King Neptune, drinking and talking about something that Naruto couldn't hear. He tried to get closer to listen in on the conversation, but was having a hard time trying to get past the mermaids, who found the young pirate irresistibly cute and wouldn't leave him alone. Whitebeard and Neptune were sipping from their equally enormous jugs of sake and noticing the blonde struggles with amused smiles. King Neptune was a massive coelacanth merman that was even bigger than Whitebeard himself. He had a red nose, small beady eyes, very thick and long orange curly hair, with a very thick and curly orange beard to match. He was bare-chested and had on a gold crown, golden bracelets, and carried a large, elaborate golden trident. "Ho ho ho," he laughed as he watched Naruto give up trying to eavesdrop on them to attend to his meal and the pretty mermaids doting on him. "It seems that you have a very curious crew member, Jamin." "Huh, I'd call him nosy," replied Whitebeard. "He's new. When did you recruit him?" "Jamin. He's been one of my sons for a few years now and already he is showing a lot of promise." "How so?" "He's very skilled in battle. He absorbs information like a sponge and can outsmart tougher opponents. He is only 8 and already has a lot of experience as a pirate and is a hell of a lot tougher than any other 8-year-old. Neptune looked over to the young pirate who looked to be on his 9th bowl of ramen and smiled. "I suppose it doesn't hurt when your mentor is the world's strongest man either, but it seems that the next generation will always surpass the last, Jamin." Whitebeard looked up from his drink. "What the hell are you talking about? It'll take 100 years for him to reach my level. However, his name will become famous, I have no doubt about that." The feast was interrupted when 2 of Neptune's royal soldiers came running into the hall in panicked and tired states. "Neptune-sama, there's some pirate crews in the Fishman district in Mermaid Cove. They're kidnapping Fishman children and mermaids to be sold off." "What?" Neptune yelled. Whitebeard brought his sake up and started drink the rest as his friends started to give orders. "Quickly, send our forces down there to combat the pirates, Jamin. We can't let them take even a single one. I will go down there myself to stop this if I have to, Jamin. Quickly get Ho ready." He was cut off by the sound of Whitebeard slamming his now empty jug on the floor. "No, don't worry about it, I'll take care of them." Whitebeard rose and grabbed his Bicento that was beside him before turning to his crew. "Let's go." The Whitebeard pirates were already brandishing their own weapons, having finished their food and drink as well, and made for the giant doors of the Ryugu Palace. This kidnapping and slavery bullshit needed to end, and the Whitebeard pirates were going to make sure that it did, at least in Fishman Island. All throughout the Fishman district in Mermaid Cove was chaos. Numerous pirates' crews were sweeping through, taking mermaids, fishmen and merfolk children alike, while the parents who tried to stop them were beaten or killed. Fishmen were naturally stronger than the human pirates, but they were outnumbered and outgunned, as they were civilians. "Hurry up, get those fishmen in the bags before the royal army gets here, and remember to always make room for more mermaids. They go for B70,000,000 on the slave market." These were very stereotypical pirates. They were what sprang to the minds of most people when they thought of the very word. Foul, evil, mean, greedy, selfish and murderous. These pirates were what the Whitebeard pirates found themselves looking at when they arrived. Naruto actually started to feel sick with rage when he saw the fishmen and merfolk crying and the pirates laughing as they destroyed families and lives just to make a quick buck. He wasn't the only one, he looked towards his nakama to see that they looked to be just as disgusted, if not more, than him. Whitebeard however had on a blank look as he calmly walked towards the crowd of amateurish cowardly weaklings. The pirate who was trying to force and crying mermaid into a large bag suddenly heard huge sounding footsteps approaching from behind him. When they stopped he turned around slowly to see who or what could have made such heavy footsteps. As he turned, he grew paler with every second he spent looking up at the huge figure of Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world. "Why you're Whitebeard," he stammered in fear. Whitebeard looked down at the cowering fool with disgust and contempt. "What do you think you're doing with these fishmen?" His voice calm yet laced with a very dangerous tone. I don't shit, what do I do, he's going to kill me anyway, but wait if I bet him I'll become a legend, the only problem is how to bet him, he's huge, and he was able to fight Gold Roger shit. He drew his sword and prepared to attack the pirate lord out of either stupidity or pure desperation to stay alive. However he wasn't able to take more than 2 steps towards Whitebeard before his face met Naruto's fist, who in the blink of an eye had covered the distance between them. The pirate captain went flying backwards and hit a stone wall with enough force to demolish it. Naruto cracked his knuckles and glared at the rest of the amateurish pirate crew, ready to pummel anyone else who tried to start something. Whitebeard smirked at Naruto's display of speed and strength, it was impressive for an 8-year-old. Naruto stepped forward, intent on making those pirates experience as much pain as they were willing to inflict onto others. He was stopped however when Whitebeard stepped forward himself and slammed the bottom of his bisento into the ground, causing the earth around him and Naruto to crack and shake and some of the pirates to fall over. Whitebeard stood before a large group of terrified pirates. He lifted his bisento over his head and formed a quick bubble around the blade before bringing it down on the pirates. "Get out of here you idiots, you're not welcome in my friend's kingdom," he bellowed as the entire group was swept up in the ground-shaking explosion caused by the quake bubble. Whitebeard slammed his bisento into the ground again. "From now on, Fishman Island is part of my territory." Whitebeard stood there and let his words sink in. Soon the pirate crews dropped all of the fishmen and mermaids they had captured before they ran to their ships, fearing for their lives. One sentence. That was all it took to secure safety from pirates looking to kidnap fishmen. Naruto couldn't help but smile at the irony, thanks to the action of a pirate, Fishman Island would from now on be safe from pirates. All of the fishmen and merfolk who had heard Whitebeard's claim and had seen the pirates run, started to cheer for the great pirate who had just saved their loved ones and ensured the protection of their home. From then on, Whitebeard and his crew had become even more legendary. The news that Fishman Island was under the protection of the strongest man in the world had spread all over both halves of the Grand Line, North, South, East and West Blue Seas, the Marine headquarters at Marineford and the Holy Land of Mariajois. Fishman Island was off limits to anybody who wanted to start trouble. 2 years later, Naruto aged 10. Naruto sat in the mainmast's crow's nest reading the newspaper with a very angry look on his face. He was wearing a mesh short-sleeved shirt under a wide-open jacket with light brown cargo shorts and his trademark black sandals. His hair had grown a bit wild over the last 2 years, the bangs that framed his face had grown down to his chin and his hair reached his shoulders at the back. The past 2 years had seen Naruto's strength improve immensely as well. Using Kenbun-shoku haki he could easily sense most incoming attacks if they weren't moving ridiculously fast and would be able to sense roughly the amount of people in one place. His Byuzushoku haki had improved by leaps and bounds. For any person who did not use Byuzushoku haki themselves to actually hurt him, they would need to put a lot more force than normal in the strike, and Naruto would be confident in fighting Loja Devil Fruit user. At least he thought he would, he had yet to actually fight one. However, even though his haki had improved a lot, there was still definitely room for improvement. Naruto's weapon of choice was a cheap katana with a black handle, guard and sheath. It wasn't anything spectacular, he got it in some random town for about B5000, so he expected it to break at any moment. He made the switch from saber to katana because a katana felt better in his hand and his swordsmanship improved with one. Another noticeable trait of Naruto's was his intelligence. Whitebeard had noticed it the day he met him. Naruto downplayed it a lot and acted like a fool sometimes, but in reality he was very bright. He could quickly come up the winning strategies in a fight and could usually outsmart an opponent that was physically stronger than him. The newspaper told a story about the might of the invincible Marines recently. An island in the West Blue Sea had been destroyed by a Buster Call. A Buster Call was the world government's ultimate display of force to ensure that absolute justice prevails. It entails 10 Marine battleships, led by at least 5 vice admirals, bombarding a target non-stop until it has been completely annihilated. The name of the island that was destroyed was O'Hara. O'Hara wasn't a secret pirate base, nor was it planning to attack the world government, it was simply an island mainly consisting of archaeologists and scholars. Apparently the reason why the world government found it necessary to destroy O'Hara was because the archaeologists were researching the forbidden poneglyphs and, according to the media, were planning to use its knowledge to somehow create an ancient and powerful weapon in order to destroy the world government and conquer the world. Naruto didn't know the real reason why O'Hara was destroyed, but he did know that the reason given by the media was total crap. He just didn't buy it. Naruto continued reading as he noticed Thatch climb up to the crow's nest and hopped in to see what Naruto had been doing all evening. "Hey Naruto, what are you doing?" "Reading," he replied simply without looking up. "Oh really, what are you reading?" "Newspaper." "Listen to this," he said before reading the text of the article. The only survivor of the demon land O'Hara was 8-year-old Nico Robin, who not only defied the world government by surviving the Buster Call, but by also destroying 6 marine battleships, receiving a bounty in the process. Sure enough, when Naruto turned the page, a sheet of paper fell out and caught his attention. It was a standard wanted poster with a picture of a sad-looking girl with shoulder-length black hair and blue eyes. Wanted? Dead or alive? Nico Robin. B79 million. Naruto was furious as he looked at the wanted poster. How could the world government call this justice? How could they give an 8-year-old girl that kind of bounty? It just solidified Naruto's belief that practically everyone in the Marines and world government was just some scumbag who would gladly destroy people's homes and lives just so they can gain a higher rank or get some shiny piece of metal that they could staple to their chests. And they called pirates evil. It just pissed Naruto off. Naruto looked at the poster sadly. She'll be hunted for the rest of her life, poor girl. Thatch didn't know what to say, so he opted to say nothing and stare out at the ocean. At first Thatch was just looking at nothing really, his eyes just wandered aimlessly without a focal point until he was given one in the form of black smoke, just managing to make itself visible on the not-too-distant horizon. Thatch squinted his eyes in an effort to focus better. "Hey Naruto, what does that look like to you?" Naruto stood up and turned to look in the same direction as his nakama. Smoke, I think. "I thought as much," said Thatch before yelling down towards the deck. "Oi Aji, look over there. I think there is an island where that smoke is coming from." Whitebeard rose from his giant chair and walked to the portside railing. Looking past the vast blanket of blue that lay before him, he did notice the smoke and remembered that there was in fact an island near there. He also remembered that particular island was part of Kaido's territory. Whitebeard had never planned to even get close to that island because he would really prefer not to have to fight that guy. Whitebeard was of course in no way scared or intimidated by him, it's just that he was no rookie pirate and would be capable of holding his own against the Whitebeard pirates. Yet despite of all this, "Head towards that island, I want to see what is going on there," he shouted as his crew set about following his orders. Naruto didn't know why the old man had decided to go check it out, he had been part of the Whitebeard pirates long enough to know that the old man didn't do anything without reason, that's where he differed with Gold Roger. Maybe he was curious, maybe he was generally concerned about the inhabitants of the island, or maybe he was just bored. Naruto didn't know and he didn't really care because truth be told he was bored too. The Whitebeard pirate stepped onto the shore of the island and Naruto could already taste the disgusting ash in his mouth. There was obviously a village on this island. A village that was burning. Whitebeard began to walk in the direction of the fire with his Bisento at the ready, followed closely by his sons. As they advanced towards the village they started to hear screaming and they noticed that the sky was now black with all the ash in the air, as well as there being reddish hue not too far off, most likely from the now confirmed fire. When they finally reached the village they found all of the wooden houses and buildings ablaze with pirates, most likely belonged to Kaido's pirate crew, running amok. Quickly raiding burning shops and houses for any valuables, feeding the fires with precious belongings of the villagers, and making sport of the villagers themselves. Who could kill the most, who could kill one the quickest or the most painful way. Naruto hated pirates like them, they were the very image of pirate the world government put forward to the public, and because of pirates like them, decent pirates like them would always be initially feared and hated. It was when Naruto saw a pirate shot a fleeing villager in the back and seeing the villager's wife and child look on in horror as the pirate laughed, that Naruto's rage exploded. He raced towards the pirate like a bullet and before the pirate even saw him coming, his heart had been pierced by Naruto's katana. The pirate's brain didn't even have time to register what had happened before he was dead. He fell to the ground as Naruto calmly withdrew his sword from the body. Two other pirates, who accompanied the first, stared at Naruto with a mixture of shock, confusion and anger. "Hey kid, what the hell did you do?" one demanded. "What does it look like?" replied Naruto facing away from them. "You little piece of shit, I'll fucking kill." He was cut off from his threat as a streak of blue flames flew towards him. When the flames were less than a foot away from him, a leg materialized out from them and delivered a devastating kick to the side of the pirate's head. The kick was enough to send the pirate crashing through a brick wall 20 feet away, most likely killing him. The last terrified pirate drew his sword shakily and was so distracted by the two blondes that he didn't notice the diamond-covered forearm behind him. Brilliant punk. Josu's diamond body smashed into the prate, sending him crashing into the same wall as his nakama in the same state. Despite his size, Josu could move very fast when he needed to. Marco turned to Naruto with a slightly annoyed look on his face. "Boy Naruto, don't go running off like that." "Don't worry about that Marco, Naruto can easily handle guys like them." The three turned to see Whitebeard walking up to them. He took a moment to think before, "Alright, this is a large town, so there is probably a lot of them, split up and take them out, but if you see Kaido don't fight him. I'll be looking for him myself." "Alright, go." The crew yelled in understanding before splitting up. Before too long, Naruto found himself in the village's markets, currently on fire, where there were a large number of pirates fighting with an equally large number of marines. This surprised Naruto. Marines, what the hell are they doing here? If they know that Kaido might be here, then they are most likely being led by an admiral or at least a vice-admiral. Naruto was pulled from his thoughts when he sensed an incoming blade to the neck, which he skillfully dodged and countered, drawing his own blade and driving it into his enemy's stomach. As the pirate fell to the ground, dead, Naruto's actions had drawn the attention of two nearby marines. They looked at Naruto curiously. "Is he one of Kaido's men?" one asked the other. "I don't think so, he just killed one of them, but he also doesn't look like a local," the other replied before yelling to Naruto, "Oh kid, who are you? You shouldn't be here. Are you a local?" "No," replied Naruto simply, "I'm a Whitebeard pirate," he finished with a hint of pride. "What, you mean to say that Whitebeard is here too?" yelled the marine, to which Naruto nodded. "What are we going to do, Anurk?" The unfortunate marine's sentence was cut short when a medium-sized red curved blade erupted from his chest. He looked shocked for a split second as blood poured from the wound. Mercifully he was spared any more pain as he was dead a second later. He fell forwards onto the ground, revealing the weapon sticking out of his back. It was a red three-bladed scythe, with the three blades being smaller from top to bottom. It had quite a long handle that had tape around most of it for a better grip and had a thick black cable attached to the bottom of it, leading off somewhere. Both Naruto and the remaining marine were shocked when they saw the large scythe. Naruto had not seen the attack coming, probably because it wasn't intended for him. Before the marine could do anything, the mystery assailant leaped in front of him and delivered a powerful left haymaker to the marine's left temple, leaving the marine dazed. The assailant took the opportunity to rip his scythe out of the dead marine and drive all three blades into the remaining marine. The assailant finished the grim spectacle by ripping his scythe out of the now very dead marine, shredding the poor bastard's body in the process. As the mystery assailant straightened up, Naruto got a good view of his face. He looked to be about 19 or 20. He had medium-length silver hair that was slicked back and very distinctive purple eyes. He wore dark blue pants with a red and black vest and closed shoes. He also had two large spools attached to his left hip, these held a thick black cable that was attached to his scythe around them. He looked down at the mangled corpses that used to be marines with a wicked borderline insane smile. "Yahoo! I got those fucking stupid marines," he exclaimed with glee before turning his attention to Naruto. "Huh? Who the hell are you?" Naruto said nothing as he glared at the silver-haired man. Naruto may not like marines, but that didn't mean that they deserved to die like that. "Hey brat, I ask you a question, hurry up and answer before I kill you," the man said impatiently. Naruto took a deep breath, he already decided that he didn't like this guy. "I'm Naruto, I would ask you what your name is, but since I'm going to kill you now, I don't really care," he stated calmly, drawing his sword. "Huh? What was that? Don't you know who I am? I'm Grim Reaper Hyden. I've got a bounty of B130 million, and you're just some weak fucking kid, you can't beat me," he finished with a sick grin. "If I couldn't beat some psychopath like you, I wouldn't be able to call myself a Whitebeard pirate," Naruto replied. Hyden didn't show even the least bit of surprise when he heard that Naruto was a Whitebeard pirate. "Well then, if you really think that you can kill me, then let's see you do it," he yelled before he grabbed his scythe's cable and swung it in a vertical arc towards Naruto. Naruto quickly ducked under the scythe. Good thing too. That scythe would have cut him clean in half if it hit. Naruto wasn't ready for the speed of it, and he certainly wasn't ready Hyden's speed to match. In what seemed like a heartbeat, Hyden had closed the gap and drove his knee into Naruto's chin, sending him flying back. Hyden quickly followed this up with another arc, this time a high horizontal one, set on cleaving him in two lengthways. Naruto managed to recover from the knee in the chin and just managed to get out of the scythe's way. Hyden charged at Naruto again with his fist cocked back. Naruto however was ready for him this time and brought up his free left hand to guard against the punch. Naruto followed up by thrusting his katana at Hyden's neck. Hayden swiftly moved his head to the side, causing Naruto to just cut the side of his neck a little. Hayden then quickly wrapped the scythe's cable around the blade before driving his foot into Naruto's side, sending him flying back again and lose the grip on his sword in the process. Naruto skidded back and took a knee. He gingerly touched where he had been kicked. He winced slightly at the sting he felt, indicating 1 or 2 broken ribs. Naruto looked back at Hayden, who was bleeding from the side of his neck. Hayden freed Naruto's sword from the cable before tossing it away without a second thought and once again charged at Naruto. However, when he got about halfway, he was forced to avoid a sneak attack from a new member of the party. Renkyaku Gaicho, Storm Leg. Victorious Bird. The calm voice echoed throughout the battlefield as both Hayden and Naruto both narrowly avoided being bisected by a blade of compressed air in the shape of a soaring bird. What the fuck? Hayden looked towards the dark alleyway from where the kick came from and was eventually able to see a figure emerge from it. It was another kid, probably the same age as the one he was fighting, but this one had dark spiky hair, onyx eyes and was wearing a marine uniform, a white short-sleeved shirt with a black neckerchief, black trousers, black shoes and a white coat over his shoulders, with the kanji for justice on the back. Hayden was at a loss as to whom this was, but Naruto wasn't. It's been a while, team, he grinned as he stood up shakily. Sasuke, the prodigy of the Navy, stood before 2 pirates from the crews of 2 different infamously powerful pirates without fear. Huh, so you're still alive, dope. By now Hayden lost his patience. What's going on? Who the hell is this guy? He yelled angrily at Naruto. Lieutenant Junior Grade Sasuke, the young marine answered. Hayden calmed down and looked at Sasuke. I see now, the prodigy of the Navy. Heh, this is a real treat. Not only do I get to kill a Whitebeard pirate by now, I can make the Navy look like complete idiots and crucify their prize golden boy, he exclaimed in glee before charging at Sasuke. Sasuke didn't even flinch as he let the crazy pirate get closer before vanishing in a burst of speed and reappearing right in front of Hayden, Shigen Orin, finger gun. Yellow Lotus. Sasuke's arm and hand blurred over Hayden's chest for a brief moment as he stabbed Hayden with nothing and extended index finger dozens of times before stopping as Hayden fell to his knees. You're in my way, move it, he said coldly as he kicked Hayden into a wall. Sasuke turned to Naruto and stared at him blankly. You actually became a pirate. Yeah, I thought that much would be obvious. I thought you died, but now that I know that you're a pirate, I'll have to kill you myself. If it's any consolation, I would have preferred if you stayed in Lowtown in peace your whole life. Sasuke stared at Naruto for a second. Sorry, he appeared in front of Naruto and unleashed a barrage of kicks, punches and shigans. Naruto knew all he could do without a weapon was dodge. He managed to roll, flip, jump and scramble out of the way of all of Sasuke's attacks, though the use of Kenbun-shoku haki made it much easier. Sasuke tried another Rankyaku at Naruto, to which he jumped out of the way again and jumped backwards still until there was some distance between them. Naruto ignored his pained ribs, there would be time to worry about pain later. Shit, he's really fast, and if his reputation is anything to go by then he hasn't even gotten serious yet. Naruto looked around and spotted his katana by a grocery store window. If I can get to it, I can properly defend myself. Sasuke smirked. I have to say, Naruto, you're much quicker than any other pirate I've killed. I can tell by how you dodged my attacks that you know how to use Kenbun-shoku haki, but you're not the only one who has been taught haki. Naruto's eyes widened as once again Sasuke blurred right in front of him. He barely managed to get his arms up to block Sasuke's punch that sent him crashing conveniently into the grocery store where his katana was located. Naruto sat up and frowned as he rubbed his now sore arm. There was definitely Byuushoku no haki behind that punch, but it wasn't the worst he'd ever felt. He picked himself up and grabbed his katana. Not bad, Sasuke, but your haki could use some work, let me show you what I mean. Naruto narrowed his eyes in concentration as his entire right hand and katana glowed for a second before turned jet black, but before he could do anything he felt Hayden's presence behind him. Stay out of this, kid, I'm going to kill him first. Then you. Hayden gripped Naruto's shoulder and threw the younger pirate behind him. Naruto was sent flying into the burning shop behind him in the same sort of way that a cannonball is sent flying from a cannon. He crashed through walls and shelves before he hit a huge container of fruit in the back storeroom. Hayden watched as a support beam in the store's roof fell down, blocking his entry. As he felt the heat from the flames he thought, damn, I guess I overdid it. I wanted to finish him myself, then again what better way for that little shit to suffer than to be burned alive. Hayden smirked at the thought before remembering the other kid he was planning on killing. He turned to see Sasuke looking at him impassively. Aren't you upset? That kid is going to die. It seemed like you two knew each other. Sasuke watched the burning grocery store start to collapse gradually and looked back at Hayden. Why would I be upset? He was a pirate and I'm a marine. However, I have no interest in you, I've already beaten you once. I'll admit that I did underestimate you, but that won't happen again. So then are you ready for round 2? Hayden asked as he raised his scythe. Sasuke said nothing and charged at Hayden. Naruto lay on the ground in a slightly delirious state in the back storeroom. It wasn't until he felt the heat around him that he remembered he was in a burning building and forced himself into a sitting position. He looked around and noticed that he was surrounded by fruit. It's a shame all of this fruit is going to go to waste. Wait, what, who cares? Damn it, Naruto, get a grip, I need to find a way to get out here. And what is that? Naruto picked up a misshapen fruit that he noticed. It was light blue and covered in white markings that sort of looked like swirling lightning bolts and was almost twice the size of a regular fruit with a curly red stem to complete the look. What kind of fruit is this? Naruto spent a couple of seconds staring at it. It was hard to explain, but the fruit seemed to be calling to him and Naruto could feel the power radiating from it. It's a devil fruit. What are the chances I would find one here and now? Naruto pondered whether or not he should eat it. If he did eat it then he wouldn't be able to swim ever, but that fact never really bothered him as he never could really swim very well to begin with. The real question was, what power will this grant me? If it was something cool and powerful then no problem, but if it was something stupid then it didn't seem worth it. Although Naruto doubted that this fruit's power was useless as he could feel the power coming from the fruit getting stronger. The hungry and impatient flames started to creep around him, so with his mind made up, he took a bite of the fruit. What if Naruto neglected by fanfiction Whitebeard end here and thanks for watching my video till the end.